Hi guys, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the series that I need to finish. Now, as always, this is quite a long list. I do love a good series, and whilst I do try to keep on top of series that I'm currently reading, there are always new books that I want to pick up, sometimes not even knowing they're a series, and some of these are down to Fairy Loot. Most of the books that they include are the starter series, which is a little bit annoying. I would love to have more standalones, but I do enjoy series. They're my favourite books to read, but there are so many and I need to get on top of the ones that I'm currently reading. So I've split this video down into sections, starting with the book series that I have taken off this list, a series I've DNF'd or removed for any reason, going into series that I have completed, so that's amazing, and then also ones that I'm currently up to date with, so I don't need to worry about at the moment. And then finally we will go into the series that I need to finish, whether they are ongoing or all of the books are out and available. So first of all, let's get started with the DNF section. I've got two books here that I've removed. So these are books that I read quite a while ago and I do want to continue the series, but in order to do that I'm going to have to reread the books that I've already read anyway, so there's no point having these on the list. The first one is the Drowning Empire series by Andrea Stewart. I have read the first two books in this series and the third one is now out, but I just didn't get round to it. Annoyingly, book two wasn't as good as book one for me. It was a little bit of a disappointment, and I think this is why I am putting off the third book. But now it's been so long that I'm going to need to reread those two in order to get to that one anyway, so that one can come off the list. The other one is only a duology, and I was kind of hoping last year I'd get around to the second one, but I didn't, and it's in the same boat. I'm going to have to reread both of them anyway. And this is the Six Crimson Cranes series by Elizabeth Lim. I read the first one, I really enjoyed it actually, and then I ordered the second one when that came out and just never got around to it. So yeah, these will be off the list for the moment. Now moving into some good news, I am going to be talking about the series that I did complete in 2023. Yay! The first one was actually a duology as well, and this was the Anatomy duology by Dana Schwartz. I read the first one, thoroughly enjoyed it, and got to the second one quite quickly, finished it out and loved it as well, so that one can go off of the list. Next is a Cassandra Clare series that I own for absolutely forever, and I'm finally glad to have read them, and this is the Dark Artificer series by Cassandra Clare. I don't think I read all three of them last year, I might have done, but at the very least I finished them out last year and I had a blast reading these books. I can't believe I put it off for so long. The next series was kind of a disappointment for me overall, but I did finish it, and this was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I'd say book 1 and 3 for me was just very average, but I absolutely loved the second book. I really enjoyed that one a lot more because the POV changed. I much preferred Teller's point of view to Scarlett's, and yeah, Jack's my favourite character, and he was in that book the most. Next is another Cassandra Clare series that I finished, and this is the Last Hours trilogy. Had a blast reading this one. In this one we followed the children from characters in the Infernal Devices, and that's my all-time favourite Cassandra Clare series, so yeah, this was great to read, and yeah, it was amazing seeing some familiar faces. Next is a thriller series that I binged, and this was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This one I'd say was kind of just average overall, and I was kind of disappointed by the ending of the series, but I had a great time reading it, and they were really quick and easy to read, and the atmosphere was brilliant as well, so that was great. And finally we have a series which has quickly become one of my favourite series of all time, and this is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. After reading Caraval I was hesitant, but I picked this one up anyway. I pretty much read them back to back within a month. They were so good. I'm so glad I didn't have to wait for the new ones to come out, because quite a lot of these books have cliffhangers in them, and yeah, this was amazing. Jax was amazing, and I really hope that she writes more in this world. So those were the series that I finished. Now moving on to the series that I'm currently up to date with, but they are going to need to be finished at some point. The first one is the Locked Tomb series by Tasmin Moore. There are 3 books out in this series at the moment and I've read all 3, and we are just waiting on book 4, which will be the final book in this series, and I can't wait to check it out. Next, we have the Crescent City series by Sarah J Maas. Now, as I'm filming this, the 3rd book isn't out yet, but by the time I post this it will be, so for now it's here, but I will very quickly need to read book 3. Next is the Villains series by V. Schwab. Now, these books came out quite a long time ago, and on her Goodreads it does say that there is going to be book 3 coming out, just don't know when, but I hope it's soon because I love these characters and this series is brilliant. It's very different to anything I've read before as well, so yeah, I hope that one comes out in the next few years, hopefully. Next we have one of my other favourite series, and this is the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace. This year I read the 2nd book, Foxglove, and next year Wisteria is coming out, which I am super excited for. Not next year, this year. We are in 2024. Okay, next is a middle grade series, and this is the Supernatural Investigation series by B.B. Alston. I've also read the first 2 books in this series, and hopefully book 3 is going to come out this year, so I can't wait to pick that one up when it does. Then we have the Alex Stern series. This is the Lima Crate copy, so it doesn't have the title on the front, but this one is Ninth House. Again, I've read the first 2 books in this series, and there should be a 3rd one out at some point. Really love this series. Book 1 absolutely amazing. Book 2 wasn't quite as good, but I still thoroughly recommend it, and I loved the atmosphere and the ghosts in this. Yeah, another one of my favourites. Next we've got a couple of Fairy Loot books, the first one being the Spice Road series. I think this one is planned to be a trilogy. So far the 1st book is out, so I will need to pick up books 2 and 3 when they release. And then we have Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton, another Fairy Loot book I read and really enjoyed, and will be looking out for the sequel when it comes out. I know there is one, I just don't know when it will be releasing. And finally, one of my most anticipated releases of 2023, we have Swordcatcher, which is Cassandra Clare's adult fantasy book, completely independent of her Shadowhunter series that she's done in the past. And yeah, this is book 1, it is a series, had a great time, so we'll need to pick up the other books when they come out. So now we're moving into the not so good news. We've gotten all of the good news out of the way with the books I'm up to date with and completed. Now we're moving on to series that are completed. So technically I could complete them really quickly, I just haven't for various reasons. So yeah, these are the ones I should probably prioritise. Will I? Who knows? So yeah, let's jump into the next section. So the first series on this list is the Wicked Villains series by Katie Robert. I think I've read the first 2 books in the series. I do read them on ebook, and annoyingly these ebooks are quite expensive. I think they're at least £5, which is more than I usually like to pay for an ebook, which is why I'm not reading them as quickly. I did enjoy them, so I'm kind of hoping for a good deal to come along and then I can snag the rest of them and read them, because I have been enjoying what I've read so far. Next we have the School for Good and Evil series by Somen Shonani. I've read the first 3 books in this series and I had a great time reading them. I loved the film when that came out, that was absolutely amazing. So I just need to read the final 3 books in this series. This one is kind of strange though, because the first 3 act as its own like trilogy arc, and then it's followed by the other 3 books which sort of happen later from my understanding. So technically I could class these as 2 separate series, but I'm not, so at some point I will just need to pick up the rest of the books in this series. Next we have a series that I am rereading, and this is the Vampirate series by Justin Somper. I've read the first 2 books so far and the novella, and I've just started book 3. There are 6 books in total, so after the one I'm currently on I will have 3 left, but I'm just having the best time rereading these books, and I had a bit of a break between books 2 and 3, but now I've picked it up again. I really want to read them, and my plan is maybe to try and binge them and get this one crossed off quite quickly because I'm having a blast. So yeah, that would be a nice start to the year. Next is another series that I'm rereading, and this is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I read Divergent, so the first book, quite a while ago because I wanted to see how it still held up based on when I read it ages and ages ago, and it wasn't quite as good as I remembered, but it's still very, very good. I just need to finish out the trilogy. Next is The Atlas by Olivia Blake. At the moment, I think 2 books are out. I've only read the first book and there's at least going to be a 3rd book. I just had really mixed feelings about this book. Whilst I adored the characters, I didn't feel like much happened at all, and the plot, there wasn't really a plot, and I kind of just got bored in places. So at the moment, this one's on here to finish for now, but to be honest, I don't know whether just to DNF this series or not. I might give it this year, and if I haven't got to it, then next year I might DNF it, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think my voice is starting to go, so I apologise if I sound particularly different. We've still got a few more series to get through, so I'm gonna keep going. Next we have the Steminist novellas by Ali Hazelwood. I decided to class these as a series because initially they did release individually. I've just got the bind up here. So far I've read the first one, so I've got the other 2 left to read. And they're quite short as well, so I should probably just sit down, read one day, read one another day, and be done with it. Next we have The Last Fenestra duology by Emily Fide. This is a book that I got from Fairyloot. It's a fantasy romance and I absolutely adored it, so I will be picking up book 2 as soon as I can, and especially since it's a duology as well, it'll be nice and easy to cross another series off my list. Next we have the Extraordinaries trilogy by TJ Klune. I've read books 1 and 2. But because book 2 was a slight disappointment for me, it has kind of put me off the 3rd book, but I still want to finish the series because I adore these characters, and I'm hoping it will pick up a bit more for me and I will enjoy it as much as this one. Next we have another duology, so pretty easy to finish hopefully, and this is the City of Nightmares duology by Rebecca Schaeffer. I read this one this year, also from Fairyloot, and I had a great time. It's kind of dystopian fantasy-esque where people's nightmares come alive, and it was just different. No, it's where people become their nightmares. So they are coming alive, but they become their nightmares. And I just had a great time reading this book. It was so different to anything that I'd ever read before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking the sequel up at some point. And finally we have a middle grade, and this is the Amelia Fang series by Laura Ellen Anderson. I read this one last year around Halloween I think, and I just had a great time reading this book. It wasn't amazing, but it was so fun, and I was actually super intrigued, and I really want to pick up the rest of the books in this series. I've recently hauled the next few, so I'm hoping at some point, maybe around Halloween again, I will just like binge them all and finish the series because the characters are really fun, really colourful, and I feel this will be a nice refresher in between some heavier series or if I get into a reading slump. So yeah. And finally we move on to the series that I need to finish, but they are also incomplete, so new books are coming out as well at some point. The first series on this list is the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I originally read the first 3 books, but then I reread them, so at the moment on my reread I've only read the first book, and I actually don't know how many are out at the moment. I think it's maybe 5 or 6. And there's going to be at least 7 or 8 books in this series, so I'm kind of tempted to wait for them all to be released and then read them so I don't have to keep rereading, because I do adore these books and I don't just want to read a plot summary. I want to reread these books so I'm properly up to date before the next ones, but there's only so many times I can reread a book, so I might wait for them all to come out and then finish it off then. Next we have another one of my favourite series, and this is the Wayward Children series by Sean Maguire. This is a collection of novellas and they are absolutely wonderful and splendid. I always have a blast reading these. I usually do reread this series every year to catch up just because they're so short. So yeah, I'm completely up to date apart from the new one, which is Lost in the Moment and Found, I think, which is coming out in February. So as soon as I get my hands on that one, I will be up to date, whether or not I decide to reread or not, but I will be up to date at some point. Next we have my only graphic novel series that I'm in the middle of, I think, and this is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So far I've only read the first book actually in this series. I just wanted to read one of the graphic novels before jumping into the TV show, but then I got obsessed with the TV show and I just binged it, and series 2 as well, so I need to go back at some point and actually read the graphic novels, especially with, I think it's number 5 being out recently. So yeah, I should probably do that soon because they're really short and sweet and easy to read. Next we have a manga series that I started this year, and this is One Piece. So far I've read the first 4 bind-ups, so I think that means I've read the first 12 volumes, and I've pretty much finished the East Blue series. I wanted to make sure I was up to date, ready for the live action show coming out, which I enjoyed, and I've been having a great time reading these as well. They're really fun to read, the characters are so colourful and lovely, and I love seeing the different themed pirate ships and crews and everything. It's such a blast to read. So yeah, I will probably carry on this series this year, maybe around summertime. That's kind of when I picked them up last year, and it just made them even more enjoyable. So yeah, I will probably read them then, but I imagine as soon as I dive back in, I'm just going to want to read and read and read because these are so addictive. And finally, the last series on this list is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, with Fourth Wing being the first book. So far I have only read Fourth Wing. I did actually also pick up Iron Flame, but unfortunately I've had to soft DNF it for now because I just wasn't into it at the time. I think it's because I was listening to the audiobook as well, and I just wasn't feeling audiobooks, which didn't help. So yeah, I will need to get back to that one at some point and then read the other books when they come out. So that was it. Those were all of the series that I need to finish in 2024. Well, I won't finish them all in 2024, but that's always the plan, I guess. Let me know down below if you've read any of these series or books and what did you think, or let me know if there's a series that you really want / need to finish this year. I'd love to know. But as always, I hope you are enjoying your current reads, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!